What's going on? What's going on, people? What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? This is your boy, Charlotte Agent, aka Mayor of Real Estate, aka Big J Brown. So lovely that you all could join me for another real estate mixtape. Let's see who we have here. Hello, Makisha, Renee, Demond, James. Oh, Shonda's in the place. Gotta send a wave out to Shonda. So glad you all could join me. As you can see, I'm not in my usual podcast studio, but we're still going to make it work. Uh, Today's topic deals with those sellers who want to sell their home. However, one of the hesitations that I've been hearing from clients who are potentially thinking about selling their home and clients who are selling their home is the fact that rentals have increased in their cost within the Charlotte area. And this is true. Before the pandemic, on average, we have about 40 people a day moving to Charlotte. And it doesn't account for how many people are moving out, but the rate that people are coming in vastly was higher than the rate that people were leaving for whatever reason, job relocation, whatever have you. But it's really grown, as you can see, and because of that, the housing market has not been able to keep up in Charlotte. So what you have is this explosion of rental properties everywhere. If you follow the light rail, which goes down Tryon, and then even extending way down South Boulevard, all you see is apartments going up on North Side. It seems like they're taking every square inch of uptown and building more condos for rent rather than for purchase. So this is good in the sense that we want our city to grow and boom, but the rentals, man, have gone up. So the rentals for condos, the rentals for townhomes, and the rentals for single family homes have increased. Now, they haven't just got to a ridiculous amount as of yet, but it's still a little higher. So what do you want? What are what is the approach you should take when wanting to sell a home? You may not quite know where you want to live next, so you don't want to necessarily buy next. So you're going to just rent in the meantime. And how to get that rental cost down. So I'm going to give you some tips for that. Well, first of all, here's some of the most common reasons why people are selling their homes that I found. Yes, you can refinance and pull out some equity that will free up cash, because for most people, their home is the asset that they have. Is really the only asset outside of maybe stocks, bonds, and what have you. But it's the largest asset they have that's carrying the most amount of equity. So you could have stocks and bonds and things like that, but that fluctuates seemingly from day to day, week to week. But the home is really the solid one that most people have. Well, right now, with the market being so hot and inventory being so low, it's the best time to sell. So people are really thinking about this because, if I owe, let's say, I don't know, 200,000 on my house, but the homes in my neighborhood, like mine, are selling for 250, 275, even 280, and even higher. You're going to think twice about, wow, maybe this is the time at the top, right, to sell and get the most money. Well, here's a couple ways that some people are considering pulling out that money. Refinancing. Yes, you can refinance your house, which is essentially you closing on your home again. And during that refinance process, you can pull cash out. However, it won't be the full amount that you think it may be. So, for example, and I have my calculator here so we can go through it together. let's say that you owe $200,000 on your home, and homes in your area are selling for, let's say 275. Okay. So you owe 200, homes are selling for 275. So you're looking at $75,000 worth of equity. And we're just going to keep it pretty plain Jane for tonight. Well, if you refinance to get the most amount of money out, to pull the most amount of cash out during the refinance process, is refinance FHA, and you can get 80%. 80% of the market value, appraised value. So let's say that the market value 275 and the appraised value is the same, and we're going to multiply that. You'll be able to pull out $22,000. So the difference in equity, how much equity you have, is $75,000. But if you refinance, how much cash can you walk away with? Only $22,000. And you still have the principal balance, on the home. So that's not the best way to get to that $75,000. Some people may look to do a line of credit with like a credit union, and that's great. Usually you can get to about 90% of the market value. So if your market value is 275 times 90, you'll be able to pull out $24,750 in terms of cash. And that's a little better than the FHA refinancing, but it's still not close to the 75,000 number. We want to get as close to that number. Pulling out, other reasons why people want to sell their home, because by selling the home, which is going to give you the most amount, right, of return rather than refinancing or equity line of credit. With that money, a lot of my clients are trying to reduce their other expenses. So they can take that money and really pay off some high interest credit cards. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining us. They can pay off other high interest debt, student loans. They can pay off cars and things like that. So one of the ways that you'll be able to save on your next rental is by dramatically reducing your day-to-day expenses that you currently have. So let's say, for example, your current mortgage is $1,500, and to rent a home of like size, that rental amount will be going for, let's say, $1,800. Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense per se. It's like, okay, why would I sell my home just to rent for more? Well, it's the money that you're able to get and use, because if you're able to take a portion of the proceeds that you make from selling your home and reduce some monthly costs by paying it off. I know of situations where some clients were able to reduce their monthly costs by, let's say, $800 or $1,000. Well, then it really does make sense for them to sell their home and be able to move into a rental, have that flexibility for a year or two before they go and purchase their next home, before they level up. Now they've alleviated expenses in their life, so that though the rental may be a little more expensive, it doesn't go into their pockets at all, and they're still able to pocket a lot of the proceeds from that sale. So real quick, thank you, Linda, Shonda, James, Damon, Lakeisha, Renee, Melanie, Terry. Thank you all for joining. So, another good reason why a lot of I hear is really pulling the money out, but the use for the money for a lot of the clients selling is because they want to start their own business. This pandemic has really awakened a lot of people up who may have been so reliant on their 9-to-5 job. And that hasn't really panned out to be the safest place anymore, because this pandemic has shown us that your job could be gone the next day. So you're wanting to Start your own business, start your side business, online business, whatever have you, to have an additional stream of revenue. Well, the money to start that business, a lot of people are selling their homes, taking this amazing amount of equity that they have, selling their homes, going to give them the most amount, taking it and starting that business. Is also helping some people buy time. So if I can sell the property and make a profit of about 70 to 75,000, man, that's really going to help as far as putting a nice little nest egg to the side and being able to take care or to what's the word I'm looking for, to supplement the income that's lost during the pandemic, start that new business, etc. Also, on the other side of this pandemic, a lot of people are realizing that they may have to move. So putting themselves in a position where they're more mobile now is really making a lot of sense to them. Linda says, yeah, the pandemic woke me up. Yeah, it woke a lot of people up. So that's a very, very common kind of, for the lack of a better word, shock to the system, trauma, right? Okay, so when you're selling your home, here's a couple things you can do to free up cash to supplement or to cover the cost of that rental that may be more expensive. First of all, in selling your home, you may look to sell to an investor. And that can be beneficial for you because if the investor is willing to pay a price that you can live with, at the time of the closing, you can sign a lease, locking in a rental amount that's the same as what you were paying in your mortgage or even lesser amount at the same time that you're closing. So when the ownership changes hands, you now have an effective lease in place, locking in the price. So your rent amount didn't go up. And if that situation works out for you, you didn't even have to move. So any cost for moving and the time that takes, you don't even have to worry about that. Number two is, which could have been the most obvious, I know, but it still bears saying, sell the property for more money. Sell the property so that the net to you as a seller is higher. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, in selling the property, let's say, once again, to the scenario that properties are selling for $275, okay, and you know that the rental may be $300 more. Well, let's say that's over the course of 12 months, another $3,600. Well, instead of putting your house on the market for $275, put it at, $278, $279, and see what happens. Another way, or another tactic for selling for more is when you sell it, don't agree to closing costs for the buyer unless the buyer is willing to go higher in the price. So, for example, if you put it on the market for $275 and that buyer offers you $275, but is asking for $5,000 in closing, then you want to counter that offer by saying, okay, I'll give $1,000 in closing, but not at a $275 sales price. It needs to be a $280. And that's a way to protect the net. If you have any questions, folks, go ahead and just put them in the comment section because we'll be rolling through them as they come in. Okay, in selling your home, one of the best ways to free up additional money is to downsize. Downsize in your furniture, downsize in maybe entertainment equipment. Put it out there on Craigslist, on Facebook Marketplace, on eBay. Do a yard sale for your neighbors and your family and your friends. Sell a lot of these items to free up the cash. That's not only going to save money in terms of moving costs, because you have a lot less to move. And if you're paying movers, that can really save in terms of the amount they charge you per hour. But it also, by selling the items, gives you cash, allows you to generate some cash flow during the sale. Um, and what I would encourage a lot of you who are thinking of selling your home, not just downsizing in the items that you can sell, but also downsize and maybe the type of rental that you're looking for. Don't try to match the size of the current home that you have or level up when it comes to the rental. Find something that's going to meet your needs, that's going to allow you to work from home, since a lot of people are working from home, or if you have children, to be able to have a nice area for their studies, something that's in an area with a great Wi-Fi connection, a Google Fiber or some type of high-speed connection. That's not a bad idea in terms of going down in size, because the larger homes for rent are going to be a larger price. If you can stand to go down in size of your rental, then you can go down in the price as well. Uh, Here's one cool idea that I suggested, and a lot of my clients have never heard of this particular creative idea. But if you're thinking of selling, one cool way to slide in on a rental before it goes back on the market for a higher price is have your real estate agent to call around to different property management firms. And I know a bunch of different ones here in Charlotte and surrounding areas, but I would call those property management firms, ask to speak to a portfolio manager, and say, hey, I have clients that are selling their home. They're looking for a rental. Here's their budget. Do you have any tenants that are currently behind on their rent? I know that you don't want to go through the eviction process, because that's just going to cost the landlord more money, and it's disgruntled and it's drawn out and all that kind of stuff. But if you have a tenant with your property management firm that's behind on their rent, my clients will be willing to take over that lease for that term. So if they're behind on their rent, that other tenant, and let's say they have 5 additional months left on their lease, my client sells their home and takes over that lease, and it's just for 5 months. Hey, what's going on, Joe? Glad you can join us. They're going to take over that lease for the 5 months. Not only have they got in the rental at a locked-in price, but also now the lease is only 5 months instead of a typical year. So that's a really cool tip that I've shared with my clients, and it works. Shonda says, great idea. Thank you so much, Shonda. Sign a longer lease. So as an agent, when I know, once again, my clients are selling, they're going to need to rent, I'm already researching the rentals in the area. I'm contacting the property management companies, and I've already set up a search for my clients so they can start seeing about a month or two out what the rentals are going for. If they find a rental that they like, what I would do is reach out to the listing agent for that property or property management company over that rental property and begin negotiations early on with that landlord and say, okay, you're requiring a minimum lease of 1 year. What if my clients gave you 2 years? If they signed a longer lease, and that can work for some clients, other clients, they may need to be less locked in. But for the ones that were fine with that, that was a great way to say, okay, we're going to sign a longer lease, but we're not going to sign a lease at $1,800 for 2 years. We're going to obligate ourselves for 2 years. We're going to come in at $1,700 or $1,650. So that is a great way. If my client didn't want to sign a longer lease, then what we would propose is, okay, if it's listed for $1,800, Instead of giving you 1 month of security deposit, we'll give you 3, 4, or even half the lease up front. Because that landlord has a guarantee, they will be more apt to agree to a lower rental amount. So instead of $1,800 a month, they'll really look at, and it'll be hard for them to say no to that, even if you're offering $1,700 a month. So increasing the security deposit in exchange for a lower rental amount works. Also, too, we're going into the holiday season, which means that we're very close to a new year. New year brings new tax refunds. So if you're thinking about selling within the first, let's say, 4 or 5 months of 2021, that tax return, the additional money, can offset any additional price that you're paying in your new rental. All right, folks. So that's just a couple tips that I want to share, because I've heard a lot about that, and I'm hearing a lot of that from my clients. And I just want to make sure that the content that I provide is relevant, valuable, and correct. And so I hope that you have found this live, the content on this live session to be valuable and helpful. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. And if you don't mind, on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The Real Estate Mixtape Podcast is live, and we have great episodes there. Please go to the Apple Podcast and subscribe, as well as or Spotify, and subscribe to the podcast, and give us a couple stars. Let's get the ratings up on that so that we can get bumped up in the search menu. Very informative. Thank you so much, Linda. Shonda says very relevant material. Thank you so much, Shonda. Joel says good information. Excellent. That's what it's all about. If any of you want to call me at any time, you're more than welcome to hit me on my business mobile. My number is 704-907-1540. Once again, 704-907-1540. You can email me, jason@thecharlotteagent.com. That's Jason at charlotteagent.com. Just as you see it down there. I'm trying to point to it. That's kind of funny. Yeah, right there. So until next time, folks, thank you so much. Be well, stay safe during this pandemic season, and please be safe during this holiday season. Peace out.